It's a orange juice.
What's up everyone, this is Yarn from Orange Juice. The PEKKA Double Prince combo is deadly, and is even deadlier with the May 21st update. The PEKKA will now be able to kill musketeers and barbarians in one hit. The Prince will now be able to kill wizards, musketeers, and barbarians in 2 hits, or 1 charge strike. We're going to see an increased usage of these units. One of the best ways to counter it is with a cycle deck. Though if you don't adjust your playstyle, splash units will destroy your cycle deck. We've been told some people have dropped over 400 trophies trying my Royal Giant Hog deck without adjusting their playstyle. Oh, and the Inferno destroys the PEKKA Double Prince combo. This account has been active since January and I still don't have a PEKKA, even when I eventually unlock the PEKKA. She'll be level 1. If you're free to play, it's very difficult to compete in Legendary Arena using epics. The best option is to use an all-common, all-rare deck once you start becoming outmatched. This deck is a variant of the deck I created for the Korean tournament. With the new balance, the only card that'll act very differently in this deck will be Skeletons, which now spawns 3 instead of 4. Let's jump into this battle. Right off the bat, I see that I have a Hog and Goblin, so I immediately do a pick push on the left side. He responds with a Dark Prince and Freeze. This lets me know that he doesn't have low cost troops or building in rotation. The Dark Prince wasn't able to charge up, so he can't kill my goblins in one hit. The tower and the Dark Prince kills off my Hog and goblins. One goblin survives and stabs the Dark Prince. Those knives are really sharp. At this point, I can send in minions or an Inferno tower. The opponent just used a freeze, so I know he doesn't have the elixir for a big push. So I save the Inferno and defend with cheap minions. He sends in a princess to deal with the minions. We do a quick zap to stop the Dark Prince as well as to cycle skeletons into rotation. We're getting ready for a double quick drop with skeletons and spear goblins. I plant the skeletons to the right to distract the princess, and then quick drop spear goblins to the left to take her down. The spear goblins were able to do chip damage to both of the towers and Ice Wizard. I surround the Ice Wizard with goblins because level 9 goblins can tank 3 shots from an Ice Wizard. This distracts both the Prince and Ice Wizard. I decide to plant the Inferno instead of minions because it wouldn't have been strong enough to completely stop the Prince from reaching the tower. He drops a PEKKA right on the bridge, so I plant minions to start chipping away at the PEKKA. The Dark Prince backs up the PEKKA. Our cheapest troops are skeletons with spear goblins in rotation, so I use that to pull the PEKKA and Dark Prince into the kill zone. I plant the spear goblins just far enough that it only aggroes the Dark Prince. Against the PEKKA Double Prince deck, it's very important to separate them whenever you can. The PEKKA protects the Dark Prince from large units, and the Dark Prince protects the PEKKA from small units. Breaking the synergy is vital when facing this deck. Since he committed to a really big push, I managed to defend with really small units. I'm at a huge elixir advantage, so I rush in with a Royal Giant. This deck isn't about combos. It's all about getting chip damage on the tower. Another thing to keep in mind is that the PEKKA Double Prince combo costs 16 elixir, so never let it happen. By being aggressive, this never gives them a chance to plant an elixir pump. He defends with an Ice Wizard, but the placement is too forward, so I take advantage of this and plant minions to take out the wizard. He plants a Prince far enough back that it can wind up for a charge strike. I cast a zap on the Prince to cancel the charge, but it was too slow. Our Royal Giant falls, but that's okay, because the minions and skeletons take him down, and together end up dealing over 500 damage to the tower. With double elixir time approaching, this is where high elixir decks shine. So I continue applying pressure with the big push. He doesn't have much in his hand, so he plays a PEKKA, and the goblins start jabbing away at the PEKKA. The Hog finishes off the tower just as the Dark Prince was played. Having reached 10 elixir, I plant a proactive Inferno to bank the elixir. The freeze doesn't reach the minions, and they end up taking down the Prince and PEKKA. Fully confident that my Inferno can take down the PEKKA, and the Prince can be distracted with the spear goblins, I rush the right side. Since the Prince is exposed, I take down the princess with goblins for a positive elixir trade. With just under 20 seconds left on the clock, I drop skeletons to cycle the Royal Giant back into rotation, then drop him in the center to take out the second tower. The Royal Giant is very difficult to counter once a tower is down. This is a very unique deck that specializes in 2 crown wins. The deck complements aggressive playstyle. However, you have to know when you can and can't counter to support your aggressive pushes. For example, if you're gonna send in a Royal Giant, you're going to have to know if you can counter that Prince and PEKKA that's approaching in the other lane. Before everyone copies this deck, I want to mention this deck is weak to triple musketeers. Replacing the goblins with fire spirits solves this weakness, though it depends on the meta of your trophy range. Let's hop into the second replay. I have a really good starting hand, so I open with a pig push. My opponent answers with an ice wizard and freeze. My hog managed to get hit on the tower before the freeze. When the goblins thaw, the ice wizard acts as a great mini tank, soaking up those spears. Now the opponent sends in a princess with the ice wizard down the lane. Even though the ice wizard has trouble killing goblins, the princess doesn't, so I need to distract them by planting the royal giant in the center, far enough that her arrows don't splash. Once distracted, those goblins take them both out. The opponent most likely planted the dark prince in an attempt to save the princess, but with the 1-second server delay, he isn't deployed on time. At tournament standard levels, goblins can tank 2 shots from a non-charge strike. We send in minions to finish off the Dark Prince, and he counters with arrows. That's the strength of using the minions. It's an even elixir trade against arrows. The Royal Giant deals massive damage since we've been pressuring the opponent hard. There's no time for them to execute their P.E.K.K.A combo. He puts down the Ice Wizard, but the Hog ends up tanking while the skeletons take him out. He plants an elixir collector, but it gets taken out immediately. Taking advantage of the sudden elixir advantage, I plant the Royal Giant in the sweet spot at 3 tiles in, where he's close enough to target the arena tower, but far enough that the king's tower doesn't reach him. This deck focuses on taking out the first tower so it can keep cycling the Royal Giant back into that sweet spot. With no elixir to defend, my Royal Giant ends up dealing over 1500 damage to the tower. Spear goblins were sent in to chip away at the prince, but the opponent sends in a princess to take care of that. Knowing that level 9 goblins can tank 2 shots from a princess, I quick drop goblins to distract the princess, and minions to finish her off. He goes ahead and plants a P.E.K.K.A a bit early. I know my opponent isn't at 10 elixir because he just planted a prince and princess 20 seconds ago. We deploy skeletons to cycle the Royal Giant on the right side to chip damage as well as to get the opponent to split his cards into both lanes. This breaks the P.E.K.K.A double prince synergy. My opponent doesn't falter though, and continues building for a strong push on the left side. I plant an Inferno to take out the P.E.K.K.A and pull with Spear Goblins. I could have zapped, but instead I'm pulling them upwards and away from the Inferno. Doing so absorbs the Dark Prince's charge. Then with his charge disarmed, I can now safely plant Goblins to juggle the Dark Prince and stab the Ice Wizard. The skeleton surround is enough to take out the Dark Prince, but then the opponent plants a princess, so I react by taking her out with minions, all while my Royal Giant is still alive. My opponent sends in a double prince and I try to pull them with a Royal Giant, but it was 1 tile too far. And that is game for this match. To counter the P.E.K.K.A double prince combos, you have to figure out how to separate them or take care of the splashers before dealing with the main guys. In this match, I had goblins that can tank 3 shots from the Ice Wizard, 2 shots from a non-charged Dark Prince, and 2 shots from a princess. They were key this entire match. Let's jump into game 3. Immediately I make an aggressive play, sending in the miner to tank and hog to do massive damage. The double prince gets played. I respond with minions, then pull with skeletons, far enough from the minions, and close enough to the tower so the Dark Prince doesn't have enough distance for a charge attack. My opponent sends in a princess and I draw fire spirits the moment she's locked onto the tower for a positive elixir trade. I plant a princess in the rear and a miner in the kill zone where both arena towers can target him. Then I send in my hog. Looks like I mistimed that, and the left arena tower doesn't lock onto my miner like I wanted, but it did force my opponent to separate his princes. With both princes on the map, it's clear I can manage them separately. The Dark Prince has a lower damage, so I plant a cannon to pull the Dark Prince, and skeletons to pull the prince. I use a zap on the minions, but I should have used the fire spirits. This puts me at a disadvantage, and now I have to clean up with fire spirits. I lost a lot of health on both towers because of this misplay. My opponent sends in a princess for chip damage, and I answer with a poorly positioned miner. The princess did not retarget onto my miner. Let's pause this gameplay for a moment. When the princess is standing on the bridge, targeting the tower, planting a miner on the inside or center tile does not cause her to retarget. You need to plant the miner on the outside tile to physically push her back. This causes her to retarget onto the miner. Jumping back into the gameplay, the Ice Wizard takes down the miner, and the opponent sends in a Dark Prince to support the Ice Wizard. I pull the Dark Prince with a cannon, I surround the Dark Prince with skeletons and it takes him out. My skeletons are level 11, so the level 3 Ice Wizard struggles killing them. Let's rewind a bit. I planted the cannon 3 tiles from the river. Only the right tower was shooting the Dark Prince. In this situation, I should have planted the cannon 4 tiles from the river. This would have pulled the Dark Prince within range of both towers. The opponent still hasn't played 2 cards yet. It's pretty safe to assume it's not a cycle card like goblins. Most likely a high cost card that complements the princess, such as a P.E.K.K.A. Since we're not sure if he has arrows or not, I planted the minions in the center to split them, and immediately pick push to support them. I zapped the minions for 2 reasons. 1, it stuns them long enough to mitigate damage done to the hog. And 2, there are still a couple cards I don't know, in case my opponent has zap for my fire spirits. Looks like the spell in their deck is a fireball. I take out the tower, but there's 50 seconds left on the timer. His epics completely outclass our cards. They have level 6 epics, while my hog is level 7. With that in mind, I switched playstyle since the hog will die much faster with an activated King's Tower. With the prince slightly on the inner side of the bridge, I know I can plant the cannon slightly in the other lane to pull him. I plant minions to take care of the P.E.K.K.A. and skeletons to tank for the cannon, but I was too slow. The enemy plants a princess and takes it all out. A level 3 princess deals massive chip damage to the tower if left unattended. He has a level 3 princess, and at this point I can't afford letting her deal chip damage to my arena tower. So I deploy a miner to take her out as well as juggle the Dark Prince. The tower hits the Dark Prince enough to break his shield. Then I plant a cannon slightly on the other side to pull the Dark Prince, then Fire Spirits to take out their minions, Princess to deal damage to the Dark Prince, and finally Skeleton Surround on the Ice Wizard. He sends in a fireball at our arena tower, and it deals over 250 damage. With just 20 seconds left on the clock, I know that their high cost deck can't cycle back to a fireball in time. That's another thing about this deck. It has a lot of low cost units that are easily countered by spells and splash units, so you have to spread them out as much as possible, with the game coming to an end. It's a matter of just taking care of the princess and then waiting it out. And that is game. When using a cycle deck, be sure to spread out your units and don't send them all in. Otherwise, splash and spells will wipe out everything in one shot. When facing a P.E.K.K.A. double prince combo with a cycle deck, try to separate the splashers from the prince and the P.E.K.K.A. Breaking away the hard hitters from the splashers makes it more manageable. That's it for these gameplays. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for more quality OJ.